We're 1 week away from the draft and maybe 1 week away or sooner from learning the fate of Deebo Samuel in San Francisco. Chris, what was your initial reaction? Let's go back to yesterday when Samuel goes on the record with Jeff Darlington of ESPN and says he has asked for a trade from the 49ers. What was your first thought?
I was shocked. I really was. I was in a little bit of a disbelief situation. One, it's a receiver on a team that's been successful and they love him and they, orchestrated the whole offense around him and the skill set and let him be a leader. And he's, can say things to Shanahan and he's leading the team out of the locker room with the boombox and all of that. So from all that aspect and also, knowing Kyle Shanahan, how much he loves Deebo Samuel. So I really thought, again, what we were talking about yesterday and all the news that broke, the last few days, that kind of just, okay, there's a little issue with the contract and maybe something else. They'll figure it out. But there has to be more here for this. And to just draw a line in the concrete like that with Deebo Samuel, yeah, I was shocked by that yesterday. I really was.
The old line in the concrete.
You know it.
It all depends upon how long the concrete has been there. If it's freshly poured, you can draw a line.
Right.
In it. If it has completely solidified, good luck drawing a line in the concrete unless you have a chisel or a jackhammer. My first thought was, how in the hell did it get to this point? How did the 49ers let it get to this point? Because no matter what the reason, and we'll spend some time trying to figure out what the reason or reasons may be, it's a failure of the 49ers to properly read the situation. This just doesn't happen. Deebo Samuel doesn't roll out of bed on April 20 and say, number one, happy 420. Number two, I want to be traded by my team. That is something that is the culmination of days, weeks, months of frustration or reflection or communication or lack thereof between the team and the player. When we talked to him at the Super Bowl, there was no hint, no whisper, no edge, no feeling. No, like after he leaves, we're looking at each other saying, boy, that seemed weird. Like we've had interviews with other players where there's a relationship with the team or a relationship with another player on the team where either during the interview or in the things that are said after the interview ends, the off-the-record stuff that we can't really use.
Yeah, right.
We have fodder for, wow.
Yeah, he doesn't really like them. Or
he doesn't really like that guy, or that guy doesn't want to be with that team. Nothing with Deebo Samuel.
He tried to call Kyle, right, when we were there on the set, right, to go like, you're friends with this guy, as in me, and like he's an idiot. So yes,
maybe that's when it started. If Kyle had just taken the call, maybe he would have pissed off Deebo Samuel.
You're right. That's where it's odd. I mean, you didn't see this coming. It's the opposite of seeing this coming. It's like I just think, man, there's two peas in a pod. Just the way the year ended, all the things that Shanahan said about him. And then, you couple on or add on the fact of what we saw there at the Super Bowl, how excited Deebo got when he got to talk about the offense and Kyle and how cool he is and all of that. So that's what adds to the shock factor, too, with me, too, is, again, Kyle, for the most part, you go around, players love Kyle. He's done a good job of being able to be, communicate openly. He's honest, and he's made some tough decisions, and we haven't seen too many people who have been at the behest of those tough decisions be mad at Kyle because he is honest that way. So that's where it's crazy, Mike, and that's where it's hard to get a feel for exactly what's going on in the situation because I did some digging yesterday, and there's not much to figure out right now. It seems to be a very delicate situation.
And Deebo Samuel at one point last night, late afternoon, tweeted and then deleted within an hour. It wasn't one of the quick, oh crap, I shouldn't have tweeted this, I'm going to delete it things. It was up for a good 45, 50 minutes before it was gone. Said Deebo on Twitter, reporter's job is to make stories. Only people who know the truth about the situation is the 49ers' Tory Dandy, that is Deebo Samuel's primary agent, and Deebo Samuel. That's fine, that's fair, okay, but He demanded a trade or asked for a trade. I don't know what the right verb is. He didn't demand it. He's requested a trade. So there's something there. What happened was after the trade request went public, people were trying to fill in the blanks as to why this happened. And he shouldn't be upset about that or surprised by it. Look, when you tell a reporter you want to be traded, every other reporter is going to try to supply the why. That's what we do. That's what the fans want to know. It's natural curiosity. He instantly made himself the biggest story in the NFL by going on record requesting a trade. Contrast that with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
We had no idea the Chiefs were shopping Tyreek Hill. We had no idea there was an issue. Drew Rosenhaus communicated with every team, ultimately negotiates with 12. It's down to 2. We find out about it just minutes before it's a done deal. And now here, Deebo Samuel goes public with his request. I mean, implicit in that, from my perspective, is that he's gone to the team with that request and they've said no. So he's trying a different path. So there's clearly something going on here that has pushed this into a public airing of dirty laundry. And yes, people are going to try to get to the bottom of it. So I'd love to know why he deleted the tweet. My guess is somebody suggested he do it, maybe his agent. Maybe the thinking is we have no chance to get what we want from the 49ers if we do this public display of dissatisfaction and make them look bad. Like they don't want to be made to look bad in all of this. And The harder you try to make them look bad, the harder they're going to dig in and say, play for us or play for no one. We just assume the teams are going to give in to these requests now. Let's not assume that. Matt Mayoko pointed out earlier today on Twitter, he covers the 49ers for NBC Sports Bay Area, that Robbie Gould asked to be traded and they didn't do it. Raheem Mostert asked to be traded and they didn't do it. There's no reason right now to think they're going to do this.
No, Shanahan's not going to give up. He's not. He's got too good of people skills. That's where he's good. He eventually got to Robbie Gould and found the spot that they needed to get to. Same with Raheem Mostert. Mostert kind of, I'm out of here. I'm going somewhere else. And somehow, some way, Shanahan soothes things over, and there they are. There he was back on the team not long after that. I'm sure that's kind of what he's hoping for right now. Mike, the only thing I could glean, what is it, glean or gleam? What is it? Glean. Only thing I could glean from reaching out to people is two things. One thing that was made apparent from multiple people was that Deebo not wanting to live in California is definitely part of the issue. That's definitely one of the things that's on the radar screen for not wanting to be there. Now, why, I don't know. Is it because of the backlash, the hate stuff we've seen, some of the racist stuff on social media? I don't know. Other thing I can tell you is that anybody else I reached out that had tentacles to the 49ers organization or I thought might know or maybe involved, they didn't even want to get into it. Like, it was too delicate. They weren't even going to give me an inkling of what was going on. And the word delicate was used there. So there's got to be something more to the story than we know as of right now. Of course there is. I know that. But it's hard to figure out what all of a sudden flipped the switch with Deebo Samuel and where this went. And what you bring up is going to be interesting because Kyle's stubborn. And Kyle, I would think, knows, and we all know, how important Deebo Samuel is to that football team. He's not just going to sell him, for nothing. That's for sure. I would think it'd be an extremely, extremely steep price tag.
Fascinating wrinkle about not wanting to live in California, because my first thought when you said that was Aaron Donald. The talk of him retiring. Now, at a certain level, the thinking is going to be it's about leveraging a new deal. But right after the Super Bowl, and remember Rodney Harrison said during our pregame show that Aaron Donald quite possibly would retire if they win the Super Bowl because he would have achieved everything. He's a walk-in Hall of Famer, not just to the Hall of Fame, but to the special room where the no-brainer Hall of Famers exist. But I did some digging then, and I got the very strong sense that this guy from Pittsburgh, who's always in Pittsburgh when it's not football season, anytime we see videos of him with his various feats of agility and strength are from the Pitt/Steelers workout facility, it's a long way away in L.A. And as I've said before, it's two different worlds. I went on plane from Pittsburgh to L.A., 9 days later, L.A. to Pittsburgh, and it may as well have been rocket ship to and from a different planet. That's how different the two cities are. So you got Deebo Samuel from South Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
Who got drafted to play for a team that he may not have chosen if he had had the choice as to where he wants to live and work and be. Not to mention the 13% state income tax that he's paying, no matter what, on top of whatever he pays the federal government, 37%, something like that. So, yeah, you could get to the point where you decide, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I want to live somewhere else. I want to work somewhere else.
Yeah,
Nothing personal, but it is personal to me. I want to be closer to home. I don't want to be out there. When you pull up his Twitter page, I think at the top, the picture's he's got a little child somewhere. Probably wants to be closer to that child.
Sure.
If that child's not in California with him.
But it's a real thing, right?
Yeah, that's something that hadn't been mentioned in all of this because it's been about his contract. He's due to make roughly $4 million this year. Obviously, he deserves a lot more than that. And his usage, is he frustrated with the fact that they've made him into this two-headed monster, receiver, running back? He's going to get banged up. You saw him last year many times where he was like a pro wrestler trying to get off the mat and keep going, and he always did. Does he want to be used that way? That's another factor in all of this as well. But the angle of not wanting to live in California, not just because of the backlash. I think it could be more than that. It's a long way from home.
Yes.
And maybe that has something to do with it. And he liked this photo yesterday of him in a Cowboys, uniform, but he has unliked it. So I get the feeling somebody's told him, we got to back off a little bit with the public display here if we're going to finesse this the way we need to with the 49ers.
I would think so. And I want to get to that. One thing I want to say, because just to piggyback off of what we were talking a little bit, it is a real thing for some players to get back close to where their home is and be in a spot that's very accessible for the rest of their family. Whether you do have young kids or you just have a big family. A lot of these guys in the NFL, I know everybody thinks they're stars and everything like that, but a lot of them are very simple human beings who just want to be around friends and family, and that is it. And they're mama's boy, and they don't want to be far from mama. And I'm saying that because I'm a mama's boy. It's never easy. So there is that aspect, and there's a lot of players that are like that in the NFL. They'd like to I grew up here. I'd like to keep things simple and be around there. That's where my family is. So that's real.
Yeah. Mama prefers her grass being green, though. She's happy that you have your own place now and you're not peeing off her.
Mama's definitely happy about that. Yeah. No doubt about that. No kicking mulch in the pool or any of that. But the other thing, that I was led to believe, digging around too, is the money it's not the thing. It's not the money. I was led to believe that the 49ers are willing to get in the ballpark there with the Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams contract. That was the sense I got. So it is not that. And that's where, it is interesting, Mike. And then, to your point with the whole being delicate about it, I would be delicate about it, certainly. I mean, you just talked about Robbie Gould. We're talking about the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. One, I know the guy, and I'm going to tell you he's stubborn. He is. That's why he's very good at his job. Two, though, the other thing is they have a quarterback on the roster that we know they don't want for 2 years, and they still haven't got what they want for him, and they're not going to trade him. And it looks like they're willing to go and bite the bullet and go. So if you don't think Shanahan and Lynch are willing to play hardball here and, not try to at least make this work, and if it doesn't work, they're not just going to give them away for free, you're crazy. So that's where, I would be careful if I'm Deebo Samuel with this situation.
And then the question becomes, what does he do if they say we're just not trading you? They have been silent publicly. That doesn't mean they're inclined to try to trade him. It doesn't mean they're not inclined. They're just not saying what they're doing. But given their recent history, we have to assume that they're not going to fall into line like the Packers did in trading Devontae Adams, like the Chiefs did in trading Tyreek Hill. Those other moves create an expectation that this player empowerment era of the NFL, where players, number one, can say, I want out of where I am, and they get that, and then they can say, this is where I want to go, and they get that. It creates an expectation that other players with other teams are going to be able to do the same thing, and that's where we have to all take a step back and say, each one of these teams is different.
Yeah.
And just because the Packers let Davante Adams go play for the Raiders, and he always wanted to play for the Raiders, and just because the Chiefs let Tyreek Hill go to Miami and he wanted to get home, that doesn't mean everybody's going to get what he wants. So it may not be, Chris, that Deebo Samuel saw Davante Adams and Tyreek Hill get all that money. He just presumes he's getting that money, and he will. What he may have seen was they got to go where they want to be.
Right.
I don't want to be where I am. These guys got to go where they want to be. I want that. How do I get that? And that's nothing the 49ers can give him to fix it. They just have to talk him into dealing with it, and that's going to be where the challenge arises. There's nothing they can do to harmonize their desire to keep him with his desire to live somewhere else.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's good. That's really kind of a no-win situation. All you can do is kind of massage it and hope you can soothe it over to a degree. But
you know it's smooth, not soothe. You do know that, right?
Smooth, soothe, whatever.
You said it the first time I let it go, even though I knew I was going to get 10 emails from people saying there's a new Simmsism.
Right.
I let it go that time. I just want to do it now because I don't want my email box to be flooded, and it will be with the fact that I let you get away with a Simmsism.
Well, it really is. I'm going to keep saying it that way, so everybody can just back off. All right? But it's not going to stop. It just seems too natural to come out that way. But, you raised good points, I think. Yes. How can you not, where he is, you look at Davante Adams, Tyreek Hill, if you're not happy, go, well, why? Why can't I do that? Why can't I make that play? There is a difference, though, to me in a little bit with the situations. Mahomes, Rodgers, established. It's not that way. 49ers, it's Trey Lance, like we talked about yesterday. And it's like, wait, we got a quarterback that we just drafted. We want him to look good, and you were the number one reason he was going to look good. It was you and George Kittle. So now we're going to lose you. That's going to make life a little, a little tough. And then add on top of that, Hill and Davante Adams, they're still at the top of the peak of players or whatever, maybe on the slight downslope, right? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. The 49ers and Shanahan, they could be looking at it going, wait, we drafted you. You had a good rookie year. Second year, you got banged up. Third year, you finally exploded and got to exactly what we think you were and always were going to be as a player. And now to go, whoa, we're not even going to get the benefit from that great second-round pick we made and all that. Now we're going to lose them. That's another, I think, aspect that makes it different than the two that you brought up, Mike. That aspect, the Trey Lance aspect, and that, to me, will make it harder for Deebo Samuel to get to go wherever he wants.
On that second point, that was something Miles Simmons and I were talking about yesterday on PFTPM. The idea is you get the unscratched lottery tickets in the draft, you scratch them off and develop them into jackpots. You keep them around for a while. You don't flip them for more lottery tickets. That was what the Raiders did with Khalil Mack. The difference with the Chiefs and the Packers as to Tyreek Hill and Davante Adams, respectively, they had them for a while.
Exactly.
The Chiefs won a Super Bowl with Tyreek Hill. They cashed in on their lottery ticket with Tyreek Hill.
There's a difference.
8 years with Davante Adams. They got high-level performance even if they didn't get to a Super Bowl. This is a guy who is on the front end of his prime.
Yes.
You don't take the guy that you got 3 years ago in round 2 after others had passed on him, including the Patriots with N'Keal Harry when Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf were all on the board. How stupid that looks in hindsight.
Yeah.
You don't get rid of that guy after only 3 seasons, especially after the one season where he exploded with an unprecedented 1,400-plus receiving yards, 300-plus rushing yards, something no one had ever done before.
Right.
And you've got this guy who's the most potent player on your team. And to your other point, he's going to make Trey Lance look a hell of a lot better.
Right.
I mean, they still don't know. Nobody knows what Trey Lance is going to be as a week-in and week-out starter because he hasn't been yet. Makes it a little easier to be who you're going to be, the best version of who you need to be if you've got Deebo Samuel.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, you're 100% spot on. And, Mike, also the leadership factor. Deebo can be that guy to kind of, be the middleman, to be the leader before Trey Lance can finally take it over. He's one of those guys on the team.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.